Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Daily Dose. It's the start of Holy Week here in the life of the church, and it's that time leading up to Easter where we begin on Sunday with stories of palms and shouts of Hosanna as people welcome Jesus into the city. And if you grew up in a church, you maybe remember this celebration of Palm Sunday. Maybe you cut palm branches out of green construction paper, or you might remember singing big, joyous songs and waving palm branches as your pastor encouraged you to shout Hosanna. I remember one year in Sunday school here where my kids decorated crowns with glue and plastic jewels to learn the story of Jesus, this king, riding into Jerusalem on a humble donkey. And in the book of Matthew, chapter 21, this part of the story takes up only 9 verses. And I'd say it's one of the most commonly remembered stories about Jesus. In my Bible, the header of that section actually says Jesus' triumphant entry into Jerusalem. And those 9 verses end with these words of Hosanna to the Son of David. Blessed is the one who comes in the name of the Lord. Hosanna in the highest heaven. Every single one of those phrases ends with an exclamation point. It's an exciting phrase, something that seems joyous and triumphant, like the section header says. But listen to the next verse. We hear in verse 10, when he entered Jerusalem, the whole city was in turmoil, asking, who is this? And in the story, things escalate pretty quickly. We move to chapter 21, verse 12, and hear these words. Then Jesus entered the temple and drove out all who were selling and buying in the temple. He overturned the tables of the money changers and the seats of those who sold doves. And he said to them, it is written, my house shall be called a house of prayer, but you are making it a den of robbers. The blind and the lame came to him in the temple, and he cured them. But when the chief priests and the scribes saw the amazing things he did and heard, the children crying out in the temple, Hosanna to the Son of David, they became angry and said to him, do you hear what these are saying? Jesus said, yes, have you never read, out of the mouths of infants and nursing babes, you have prepared praise for yourself? He left them, went out of the city to Bethany, and spent the night there. I think it's an important place for us to pause during this week between Palm Sunday and Easter and to think about this story. In Jesus' day, people traveled to Jerusalem and purchased animals for sacrifice. It was believed that God desired that sacrifice in order to make things right in a person's relationship with God. And the doves, in particular, mentioned in this part of Matthew, were sold to those who were poor, people who didn't have the resources to begin with, people who were marginalized, and who were the focus of much of Jesus' ministry and acts of healing. And Jesus' actions here in this temple are strong. Remember, he didn't have authority in the temple, but he claimed authority by God. And he came in driving out or pushing out those who were selling these sacrificial animals because the life of the temple had been co-opted. The temple, Jesus taught, was meant to be a place of healing and prayer and not a place where people go who were hurting and already marginalized in order to give up more than they already have. But these aren't stories we tell our children. We're quick to help them learn the story of Hosanna, but we don't say, hey kids, listen to this version of the story in John where Jesus actually makes a whip out of cord to drive people out of the temple. Now, I remember when our oldest son, Lars, was probably about 3, and I was home a lot by myself during Holy Week because I didn't work in the church at the time, but Hans was a pastor at a church in the cities. And he was too little to keep up for those late night Holy Week services. So I thought I should do a good job and read parts of the story in our children's Bible to him. Our church had given him a children's Bible. And I remember thinking, I'm such a good parent. I'm going to read these stories about the miracles Jesus performed, about Zacchaeus up in a tree, about learning the story of Jesus riding in on a donkey when people waved palm branches to him. And because I wanted to also teach him that Easter was about more than just a bunny, I remember reading about Easter. And the pages in that story had bright pictures of an empty tomb. We read about the angel appearing to the women. And I don't remember exactly what led to this, but Lars had flipped through this Bible before. He knew that there was more to this story. And I don't know why he said this, but I vividly remember him saying to me as I was trying to read one more Easter story, "No, Mama, I want Jesus on the cross." And maybe that's an important reminder for us during this in-between time, during this Holy Week. It's easy to skip from palm branches to the glory of Easter, to gloss over things like turning tables and a journey of Jesus to the cross. But what if we pause and truly wonder, what could a story about Jesus' anger be telling us today? Who would Jesus be flipping the tables for in 2021? Who's marginalized? Who's taken advantage of? Where are the misfits and the outcasts? And what would Jesus inspire us to do to help restore things for them? Who needs to be reminded that no purchase is necessary? Jesus is still coming. Thanks for tuning in to the Daily Dose tonight. We encourage you to watch this week. We'll have other stories leading up to Holy Week with Maundy, Thursday, and Good Friday services as well. If you're watching on Facebook, be sure to hit share. That's a great way to invite others to watch. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel if you're watching there, and make sure to tell a friend if you're watching on Cable 181. Thanks so much.
All glory, laud, and honor to you, Redeemer King, to whom the lips of children made sweet hosannas ring. All glory, laud, and honor to you, Redeemer King, to whom the lips of children made sweet hosannas ring. You are the King of Israel and David's royal son. Now in the Lord's name coming, the King and blessed one. All glory, laud, and honor to you, Redeemer King, to whom the lips of children made sweet hosannas ring. Their praises you accepted, accept the prayers we bring. Great author of all goodness, so good and gracious King. All glory, laud, and honor to you, Redeemer King, to whom the lips of children